Hello, my name is Una and welcome to this week's Granny's Garden. This week is a step-by-step guide to how to install landscape lighting. So without further ado, I'm going to dive straight into the video and I'm going to be answering the questions who, what, which, where, how, and why. We're going to start with the why, because that's the one that's still on the screen. Situation number 1. I'm buying a new property where no pre-existing lighting system exists. Why would I install one? For me, the answer to this question is very easy. Landscape lighting takes your property, your garden to a new level. I mean, way up. It's got massive curb appeal. It increases the value of your property. It makes your garden at night into a magical place. So if the magic doesn't convince you, let's go over to the practical side. It means I can use my garden at night time. I can be sitting here at a table with my friends and I can actually see what I'm doing. It means I can actually see where the steps are before I break my neck falling down them. And it also means simple things like taking my black Labrador for a wee at night. I can actually see her and not lose her in the dark. Situation 2. My situation. You buy a second-hand house and that house has a pre-existing lighting system installed. So why would you install a new one? Well, usually there are 3 different reasons. 1, that the style of lights is not in keeping with the style of the house. In my case, mountain village, mountain house, virtually 90% of the houses have black wrought iron lanterns. What have I got? Tubular lights, grey, minimalist. Doesn't go with the house. Question is, can I live with it? Yes, I can. Reason number 2, because the actual location or position of the lights, you don't like it at all. You don't understand, it's got no rhyme or reason as why those lights were put there in the first place. Again, the question is, can I live with it? Yes, I can. Reason number 3, the existing line is faulty, even possibly dangerous. You go to flick the switch, boom! And next thing, so the question is, can I live with it? I don't think so. So when you've decided that you actually can't live with something that's potentially dangerous or is not worthwhile having because it doesn't work, then the next question is, can I repair it? We initially opted for repairing it. So we started to pull up the old cables. And the more we got into it, the more we found that the cable was in bad repair, that they were going unprotected in all directions. There were no junction boxes, and it was going to be impossible to repair it. The existing unprotected cables were going under trees, were going under bushes. We started to pull out some bushes, and then the decision was taken to stop. The next question is who? Do I get a company in to do it, or do I DIY it? In my case, luckily, my husband Miguel is an electronics engineer, so well capable of both designing and implementing from stage 1 to stage 10, the actual project itself. I know I can depend on him to set up a system that works, to get good material, with a good design behind it, and above all, to be maintainable. He has always drilled into both me and our children that whatever you design, whatever you build, you have to be able to maintain it. Not tomorrow, not next week, not even next year, but in 20 years' time, you have to be able to maintain it. And if something breaks down, you have to be easily able to find it and fix it. And if you can't do that, it hasn't been designed properly. The next question is an important one. It is which? Which system do I use? So you could either have LED or low voltage. If you take LED, that can go into either solar powered or hardwired. So let's eliminate one immediately. And for me, in my opinion, it's the solar powered. If you actually want to be able to see what you're doing, what we've explained before, or illuminate a staircase or a table, or to be able to walk around your garden at night, or not use your Labrador when he goes for a wee, solar power just doesn't hack it for me. It's very, very dim. And as its name indicates, it depends on solar power. It depends on the sun. So it needs several hours of bright sunlight to charge its batteries. And if it doesn't get that, it's even dimmer than it normally is. Now in my garden, I've got areas that are in bright sun and might get 8, even 10 hours of bright sunshine. But I've got other areas in dapple shade and other areas in dark shade. So what does that mean? It means I can't put a solar lamp in an area of deep shade because it's not going to charge its battery and it's not going to illuminate. So all these pictures of these fantastic solar lights in gardens, take it with a big pinch of salt because it just doesn't work like that. Low voltage. In my case, I've decided against it. I'm going for the LED hardwired. For many people, low voltage is going to work for them. It's easy to install, but be careful where you put it. Have a look at some of the videos that are on YouTube about installing, how easy it is to install a low voltage system. You're getting these installers coming along and they're flinging randomly unprotected cables and they're just covering it with a little bit of topsoil or even a little bit of mulch, and that's it. Well, I've got news for you. I'd like to introduce a very important element of a gardener, the garden shovel. Look at the point here. And we're always planting perennials, planting bulbs, planting bare roots, planting roses, we're always planting something. And if this goes into the ground, it is going to go straight through those unprotected wires that are randomly placed left, right and centre around the garden. If you do opt for low voltage lighting, make sure it's somewhere that you're going to know where it is in the future, and don't let anybody bully you into letting them put it wherever they want because they don't have to maintain it. And it's you that's going to maintain it, not them. And have them installed the way you want it to be installed and not the way they want it to be installed. The other thing again is the intensity of light. Again, the low voltage are dimmer than the hard wires. The other thing that they will sell to you is the fact that it is a lot cheaper to install. And okay, it is a lot cheaper to install. The initial costs are cheaper. Certainly LED bulbs are quite expensive. But then there's the running costs. I'm going to have a total of 17 lights here. 14 of them are going to be on 4.5 watt bulbs and 4 of them are going to be on 11 watt bulbs. Now the 4.5 is the equivalent of the old 60 watt incandescent bulb, and the 11 is the equivalent of 100 watts of the old-fashioned light bulbs. So if you add them all up together, it's probably the equivalent of an old-fashioned 120, 150 watt bulb. The whole garden lit up with this super intense lighting for the type of lights you would have had before, in my time anyway, in your sitting room. Whereas in the other system with halogen lights, you're going to be, each individual bulb is probably going to be somewhere between 20 to 60 watts each one. That's quite a substantial running cost. The other problem for me, I live in a hot country, so the months of July, August and part of September, the foliage is crisp dry, and halogen lights have got a very annoying habit of getting really, really hot, especially if you've had it, say, turned on for about over an hour, possibly 2 hours. And it is, for me, a fire risk in this country. Also on the low voltage, if one of the bulbs burns out, it subjects the other ones to a voltage overload, something that doesn't happen in the hard wiring. The next thing is what? What do you need to install this lighting system? Well, first thing is a family trip to Leroy Merlin, which is a French-owned chain store dealing with hardware. The next thing you need is a shopping list, and the shopping list consists of Copex flexible conduit, good quality electrical cable for outdoor use. That's important, outdoor use. Connectors, watertight junction boxes, obviously your lights and your LED light bulbs. The rest of the things, like screwdrivers, etc., one supposes that you already have in your garage or around the house at least. So, with those items at home, you can now start the process. The next aspect is where. Now, this is where the fun starts. This is where it all begins. On the dining room table, the drawing board. This is a drawing of the house and garden. This is the house. This area here is the front porch. This is the driveway, the raised bed, and these are the little pathways around the lawn area and the steps up to the side of the house. On this drawing, Miguel is going to draw exactly where the electrical cables are, where each junction box is, and where each lamp is.
This square here is the manhole, which is the entrance to all the electricity of the house. This red line you see here goes uninterrupted right down to the main entrance gate, and this is where the future motor for the electric garden gate is going to go. You're at the very beginning of the design process, so now is the time to make any changes you want to. The lighting system that came with the house had only 10 lamps. We are now going to take advantage of the fact that this is a new lighting system to incorporate some more, and we'll end up having 17 lights. We are also laying a new line which will give electricity to the new automatic gate. We will also for the first time be lighting the east side of the house. And there's an area here covered in tiles. That is where I hang my washing and has previously been in total darkness. The blue line, which also starts at the manhole and runs parallel, has also its junction boxes, which is the square with the X, and then the circle with the X is each individual lamp. And as you can see, each individual lamp has its individual junction box. So on this raised bed, and this is the driveway, you see that the lines are right, well these two are in the same Copex tube, they're right at the very edge. So if you're digging around in this bed, there's no likelihood of you sticking the shovel right through the wires. Also important at this stage is your calculation. How many lights you're going to have, what type of bulbs, what type of wattage, and that's going to tell you what type of cable you need to buy, so you won't have an overload on your system. This is the finished drawing, and what you'll see is, with the design, it's always right next to a path. This is paving stones with gravel among it, and behind, it looks small, but there's quite a bit of considerable distance behind, which is where we plant our plants. So the actual electrical cable is always laid next to the path, and indeed, once it was laid, it was covered in with earth, and there are paving stones on top of it. So it's going to be really difficult, if not impossible, to actually hit it with a shovel. So we've come up along the side of the garden. Here you'll see two lines crossing, which again have been crossed underneath the gravel path and have got paving stones on top. One is just underneath the weeping cotoneaster and another beside the prunus, just to give some light to this area of the lawn. Then it continues up here, and this is the staircase, goes up to the side of the house. As we said, there's a little light here. Now there is a little detour here, and there's two reasons for this. Here, there's a group of grey alder trees. And secondly, this staircase up is because there's quite a steep little embankment here. And although we've only painted the staircase here, in actual fact, these sleepers go the whole way to the boundary. And they're actually acting as a retaining walls. So we didn't want to actually cut through it. Then up to the side of the house. And then ending in this final lamppost, as I said before, that gives light to this area, which is where I hang my washing. So, finished drawing, which means we can now pass on to the next stage, which is how. And now we're coming to the all-important how. The manhole that contains the main electrics to the house. Make a hole big enough to pass the Copex tube. Dig a small 4-inch trench, following the design you previously made on paper. Place the Copex flexible conduit inside. Prepare your cable guide. Screw on the flexible probe. Introduce the flexible probe inside the Copex tube. And wait for it to come out the other side. And there it is. Remove the flexible probe and screw on the second accessory, which is a ring-shaped accessory responsible for pulling the cable through. With a cutter, score around the outside of the cable. And remove the outer surface. Using an electrician's scissors, peel the plastic coating off the wires twist the exposed copper wires together. Insert in the little keyhole, twist backwards, and then cover with some tape. And while some people are hard at work, others just, well, like to play. Next step is to get some Vaseline. This can either be Vaseline or it can be machine oil. Place a generous amount around the part of the cable that's going to go inside the tube. The head, mainly at the head of the cable. Then preferably with one person pushing and one person pulling at the other end, gently push the cable inside the Copex tube. But things don't necessarily always go to plan. But better luck next time.
See? This is the watertight junction box. Now you'll see here we've got the Copex flexible tube, and you'll see a continuous electrical cable here. Now this is going to run, it's running straight down, and it's going to link up with the entrance gate. At the moment our entrance gate is totally manual. You get out of the car, you open it, but in the future, or the not too distant future, we want to put a little motor on it and have an automatic door that slides open and slides closed. So now that we are in the process of redoing the entire wiring, we're thinking ahead and saying, right, we're going to lay the cable now. What we need to do now is to join these wires together to another one coming out here, and this is where we're going to put the actual lamp itself.
This is Miguel now just connecting the wires. They're color coded. The yellow and the green ones are the earth wires. So we're just pushing those two now in together and then screwing it down, and then he'll continue with the two blues and the two browns. This is the junction box, which is now being covered up with a bit of mulch. It's very, very close to the boundary, and you can see the cable coming out is the one that's going to attach to the lantern itself, and the Copex is running right against this wooden beam you can see, so as close to the boundary as possible, and no way you can make a mistake in the future. Miguel is now making the electrical connections to the actual lantern itself. And let's see if he flips it up now, because one of the things he said he's liked about this is that it's actually quite high up inside the lantern. So there's very little possibility of it making contact with any rain.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
It's 1 o'clock in the morning and it's pitch black up there, but you can see me perfectly, and I'm sure you can see my little fairy as well. And I can also see behind the camera, I can see Lily, my black lab. So no torch tonight, and hopefully no torch ever again, at least during my lifetime. It's been a hard road. Credit where credit is due. My husband Miguel did a fantastic job, and in not very pleasant conditions. It's been 40 degrees, which is 100 degrees. Very hot. It's like being working in a sauna, and it's not all design work on paper and doing an occasional screw. There's been pickaxe, and there's been shovels, and there's been digging trenches, and it's been very hot and sweaty work indeed. And I'm absolutely delighted with the results. This, guys, is the finished result. I'm up here in my front porch, just panning the front garden, and as you can see, the illumination is absolutely perfect. The stronger bulbs are here beside the driveway. There's 4 of them, because I need to be able to light up where we drive in and drive out, and pack the car and unpack my grandson. So this is an area we need very illuminated. I had to cut back all of this vegetation so that Miguel could work. But the idea is to let these grow over that. So you're going to be seeing, if you can see like my fingers, imagine those are branches, that eventually the little light will be poking out from among holes in the branches. So it's going to be quite lovely, and this will grow back very quickly. I just had to leave room for Miguel to work. Enough work is done without having to fight with the brambles and the thorns and the branches. And although this has been dug up very recently, we've put back the flagstones. Those flagstones are actually now covering where the wiring is. We scattered the gravels over it, and it looks as if it's been covered up for the last 10 years. You'd never think that less than 2 days ago this was one big trench. Continuing on now to this area of the garden. So the olive tree is now quite illuminated. You can just appreciate how beautiful those trunks are now, illuminated by the lights. Continue on up, and you can see that the night sky is very dark indeed. But down here it is lovely. And then to the left, of course, we've got the entrance to the fairy garden. Now, the other lamps in the garden are small, but the entrance to the fairy garden has got 2 little lampposts, about 3 feet high, no more. But isn't it lovely? It's just either side of the archway, and you can actually see the little fairy now. And you can even see the little butterfly in her hand, and the little turquoise crown she's wearing, and even the little turquoise accents on her little wings. Isn't that gorgeous? You can actually see the light bouncing off her. Isn't that gorgeous? Her little skirt there, her little tutu, sitting on the bench. You can even see her little feet. Isn't that stunning? And her hair flowing there behind her. So I'm very pleased with that effect. Really pretty, and that's going to be even nicer now. The roses are just starting to climb either side of the arch, but by next year they'll be well over the arch. And also, if I move in closer here, I don't know if you can see here, there's little railings round her, and they're going to be trailing over that as well. I just have to train them in. Now, continuing up the garden from there, this is the area, my bird bath there on the right hand side, and you can even see the bird feeders at night. Now that is unusual. There's one bird feeder there, another bird feeder there, and I just want to show you the lawn. Now this lawn used to be pitch black, and now between the lights there on the right hand side on the driveway and the 2 lights we've put over on the left hand side, there's one under the weeping Contoniaster and another one here beside the prunus, you've got a lovely little effect. Half shadow, half lit, but you can actually see what's going on. So continuing on, I've got another little one here, and obviously I'm going to let this bush and the Weigela now start to come out and move forward to again cover this. And now that this light has been installed, I can actually set about setting up my little succulent plants. Now the poor little succulent plants have been about a month and a half sitting on top of the table in the porch, and I couldn't really do anything because I was waiting for this area to be finished. Within the next week I'm going to start planting this area, and I'll be able to post a video probably about a week after this one goes live. So continuing on, just like a trip here through the little gap in the hedge. Now this is my weeping cotoneaster, and as you can see the light here is set underneath the weeping branches, and the light sort of peeking out between those hanging branches, and that's the effect I'm looking for, and I'm going to be looking for in almost all the areas I've got. But luckily Miguel was able to access this light without having to cut back any of the branches, because I really didn't want to have to cut this. It's so beautiful, this cotoneaster, so gorgeous. Right, so we can continue up. These are just the tiny little solar lights. Now look, see what the solar lights illuminate? About 1 foot. Look at what this illuminates. Absolutely no comparison. Now this is the area that's important to me. I'll just swing back again. I'm sorry to make you. I'm sorry I'm making you dizzy. Previously, with the previous lighting system, it all ended here. And now, for the first time, this area of the garden has been illuminated up the side of the house. Now this staircase used to be in pitch darkness, and it was absolutely lethal. So I've now got a little light right at the edge of the steps, and another one just past it, and you can really see each step, which is absolutely fantastic. Let's hop up here for a minute. And you can now see the 2 little Grecian urns I've got that are also lit up, which is great. And the last light on the line, light number 17, again is a little lamppost. Now this, if you remember from previous videos, is the rejuvenated Spirea bridal wreath. So this is going to really go up and tumble over it, and it's really going to be among us. But the great thing is now, between this light here and this light here, I can now hang out my clothes and actually see what I'm doing, because this area, which is between the 2 corners of the house and up there only darkness, it was impossible. You'd have to go out with a miner's lamp on the front of your forehead to be able to see what you're doing. Now, absolutely fantastic. You can see perfectly. We're now back at the entrance to my fairy garden, and I've got my little dog here beside me. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and it's certainly been a different video than normal. I'm not planting anything, it's just we're getting a job done, a job that I really didn't want to have to be doing at this stage in the process. But absolutely love the results, as I've said, and looking forward to be able to spending many a night out here with some friends and with family, and enjoying eating out al fresco. I mean, there has to be some advantages of living in 100 degrees in the summer. So if you have liked this video, give it a thumbs up, and of course if you want to be with me every Friday, please subscribe to the channel. So from me, Una, and my channel Granny's Garden, and my gorgeous black lab Lily, it's bye from us. See you next week. Bye bye now.